On this episode of UMTV News, we bring you the latest on President Trump's new immigration policy.
Plus, the University of Miami is bringing back its standardized testing policy. We'll break down current students' reactions and how this will change the game of admissions.
And later on, we'll share a special story on one South Florida mascot and how one unlikely team brought hockey to our hometown.
These stories and more on today's program. UMTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to the first edition of UMTV News. For the spring semester, I'm Caleb Shapiro.
And I'm Jordan Cerullo. Thank you for joining us. The new border czar says it's a game changer to have a list of federal agencies helping to address illegal immigration. ICE reports almost 1,000 arrests of undocumented immigrants in just one day.
If you're here illegally, if you broke our laws, then you're going to be targeted.
Across the U.S. and beyond its borders, President Donald Trump is cracking
If you're here illegally, if you broke our laws, then you're going to be targeted.
Across the U.S. and beyond its borders, President Donald Trump is cracking down on illegal immigration. ICE reports almost 1,000 arrests and more than 500 detainers Sunday. Those numbers are from at least Metro Atlanta, Puerto Rico, Colorado, LA, Austin, and Chicago. They foul news that ICE agents now have a quota of 75 arrests per day. Other federal agencies are helping find undocumented immigrants. The border czar says violent criminals were the targets of a Chicago blitz. The Illinois governor says he'd be fine if it had stopped there. He says authorities also went after people whose only crime was entering the U.S. illegally.
They're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends.
Meanwhile, a feud between Trump and Colombia's president might be dying down. Colombia says it is resuming acceptance of U.S. deportation flights. That is after its refusal to accept 2 of them led to both countries' leaders threatening hikes on tariffs. Some analysts worry such increases would force Americans to pay higher prices for certain goods.
The only way that Donald Trump knows how to, quote, lead is by acting like a bully.
He's putting the rest of this hemisphere on notice that you are not dealing with the same president that you were.
Other Latin American leaders, including the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, are expected to meet with President Trump this Thursday to discuss potential solutions for receiving deportees.
The White House has put a freeze on some federal grants and loans. That's according to an internal memo sent by the White House Budget Office on Monday. The pause is slated to take effect this evening. It targets programs addressed in President Trump's recent executive orders. That includes funds for immigration, foreign aid, and climate programs. This has left many Democrats in an uproar. However, officials say the freeze could be as short as a day. While the administration reviews agency programs, several nonprofits have filed a lawsuit claiming the pause in funding will keep some organizations from paying their employees.
And here in Florida, Legoland in Winter Haven is laying off more than 200 employees. This is affecting nearly 2/3 of the park's performers. And this news comes today, which happens to be National Lego Day, a day set to celebrate the popular game. The layoffs are scheduled to take place between March 25th and April 7th. Local theaters in the area have come together to raise money for the performers who are about to lose their jobs.
Meanwhile, here on campus, the University of Miami is reinstating a policy that has not been around since before COVID. Gracie Palmer is live at the School of Communications to explain this big change. Gracie, what can you...
Caleb, at the beginning of this semester, the University of Miami announced it will be officially requiring applicants to submit their standardized test scores. Now, the school is currently under a test optional policy due to the COVID pandemic in 2020 because students were unable to take the SAT and SAT. But now the test scores are required. Students that I spoke with had mixed opinions. Freshman Morgan Lau is a spring admit. When she applied to the University of Miami, she chose not to submit her SAT and ACT scores under the school's test optional policy.
I did not do great on the SAT, and I'm not a good test taker in general.
But now, a new policy taking effect in the fall of 2026 will force Morgan's younger siblings who were considering applying to submit their standardized test scores.
And I know my younger siblings maybe will apply here, and I know that they're also not good test takers.
The university announced in January that they will begin requiring applicants to submit their test scores again.
So when we went to test optional during COVID, there was always a plan to revisit. So basically, what our data showed was that, standardized SAT scores, predicted student success here at the university.
But Provost Prado wants students to understand that SATs are only part of the application, and they also look at high school GPAs, essays, and extracurriculars. Junior Dax Sagaro agrees. He didn't submit his scores when he applied, but still, he supports the policy returning.
I actually think it's great. I think it creates a more selected and niche group of students.
The University of Miami is not the only school to reinstate their standardized testing policy. Other schools such as UT Austin, Harvard, and MIT have began requiring scores also. UT Austin started requiring test scores back in August, but they said it hasn't affected their application numbers. Their communications team said that they've continued to have record freshman applications, and they even went up around 24%. But on the UM campus, there is still a concern that requiring students to submit their test scores could be unfair.
I don't necessarily think it's a completely fair way. And I think that, like I was saying, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily test well.
I do feel very lucky, though, that I came from a time of applications where I didn't need to submit my test scores.
The average SAT and ACT scores at the university are in the top 90th percentile. Now, the provost told me they aren't sure if the policy will stick around, and they do plan to revisit it in the future. Reporting live for UMTV, I'm Gracie Palmer.
Thank you, Gracie. Residents of the Pacific Palisades are finally being allowed back into their homes. The Palisades fire has scorched more than 23,000 acres. Firefighters have made significant progress with containment now around 95%. Although many residents know they will be returning to nothing but ash and rubble, to be back home is enough for them.
Thank you, Gracie. We will take a short break now, but when we return,
get ready for a fiery new flavor to spice up your menu in 2025. We'll tell you why this South African pepper is set to take over kitchens and cocktails.
and stick around to hear how the story of a simple locker room joke turned into an iconic symbol for one team. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
This is if kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Welcome back. Football fans may be tackling some deja vu after the NFL's conference playoffs wrapped up Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles will face the Kansas City Chiefs for the second time for the 59th Super Bowl. The two teams met 2 years ago, where the Chiefs squeezed by in a high-scoring thriller, winning 38-35. Unsurprisingly, Eagles fans and Chiefs players have very different first reactions.
We're going to go again. Let's go. This is our turn. We're going to win this Super Bowl, right, bro? Let's do it.
We're ready for the Super Bowl.
Getting ready these next 2 weeks.
Oh, we get right back to work. Like I said, we got bigger goals, and we got a hell of a football team over there in the NFC that's playing just as good as anybody that we've seen.
The Super Bowl will take place on Sunday, February 9th in New Orleans, Louisiana.
It's true, even the greats pass away. However, the same can't be said for their impact or memories. NBA legend Kobe Bryant was one of the 9 passengers who died in a fateful helicopter crash on January 26, 2020. 5 years later, fans are still celebrating his legacy. In a twist of fate, the 5th anniversary of his death was the same day. Bryant's hometown, the Philadelphia Eagles, advanced to the Super Bowl.
From one NBA legend to another, Heat star Jimmy Butler finds himself at the center of more controversy. After returning from his second suspension on Monday, Butler has now been suspended for a 3rd time. The latest suspension follows reports that he walked out of a team shoot-around on Monday afternoon after learning that he wouldn't be in the starting lineup. This comes on the heels of Butler's trade request. Adding to the ongoing drama, he's been suspended indefinitely without pay and is eligible to return to the court 1 day after the February 6th trade deadline. The suspension will cost Butler more than $2.5 million.
And from one local team to another, the Florida Panthers have made their mark on the ice with a tradition that's uniquely their own. Ava Kazarian joins us live to share the story behind this iconic piece of Panthers history. Ava?
An unforgettable moment for the Florida Panthers 30 years ago sparked a ritual that continues to define the team's legacy. It all started with a simple act that became something much bigger.
Most Florida Panthers fans know the story behind their beloved rat. The night forward Scott Mellenby killed a rat in the locker room, then scored 2 goals, creating the legendary rat trick. That moment became such a key part of Panthers history, it even inspired a mascot of its own. But what fans may not know is that Scott Tinkler, the Panthers' assistant equipment manager, played a crucial yet often overlooked role in turning the rat tradition into the iconic symbol it is today.
I found this giant scary rat that I bought, and I bought the rat, my own money. I put the rat underneath where, and this is a team that's 3 years old, not a lot of tradition. Put the rat underneath the tape rack where I had written.
And from that moment, a tradition was born. Scott Tinkler's small gesture ignited something iconic, not only for the team, but for him personally.
There was 10,000 rats on that ice after anybody scored. So it was pretty fascinating to have created that and then to see it grow to even where there's a mascot now.
A simple locker room joke sparked a tradition that's now woven into the identity of the Florida Panthers. The rat has become more than just a symbol. It embodies the heart and history of the Florida Panthers.
But before the rat became the beloved icon it is today, the tradition faced some controversy.
I remember actually Victor's first year, the fans weren't really too keen on 2 mascots. What? But obviously over time, Victor was able to make the community love him a lot.
Victor E. Rat has won the hearts of Panthers fans and the South Florida community alike. No longer just a symbol of game day excitement, Victor is an advocate for Panthers pride, attending charity events, children's parties, and hosting community gatherings year-round. He's become more than a mascot. He's a beloved figure, making a meaningful impact across the community and representing the spirit of the Florida Panthers both on and off the ice.
Everyone say thank you, Victor.
You can follow Victor E. Rat's journey on Stanley C. Panthers Instagram. And next time you see him at a Panthers hockey game, let it be a reminder of the rich history and pride behind this beloved mascot. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Ava Kazarian.
Thank you. And finally, the top selling. No. Thank you for joining us for this edition of UMTV News.
We will see you next Tuesday at 4:30. Until then, stay safe.